Ebony's creativity.
Hey everybody, I'm Ebony. This is Ebony's Creativity. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video if you find any of this information useful. The purpose of today's video is because I know a lot of you watch people like me here on YouTube because you are interested in either starting a flipping business and you're trying to gather information, or you want to just, do it on a smaller scale, maybe for your house, for your family, for your friends. And I know that watching these videos, sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating to get started, and it can be kind of hard to know the essentials, everything you must have to do a nice successful flip versus things that people just get because they can splurge. They've already started making money. They are already well into it, and they found their lane in the things that they like. So today I am here to tell you the bare minimums that you need to start a furniture flipping business. These are the bare minimums. You can make under a $100 investment and you can get started flipping. Not even $100. I'm going to try to keep it as cheap as I can, and you can get started furniture flipping today. You will make your initial investment back with your first flip, and you can start making money, straight profit right after that. So I'm here to show you guys that in case you're interested in starting flipping. I know we are going through a hard time right now worldwide, and people are looking for ways to make money, and I'm here to tell you how to do it with furniture flipping. So I hope this video is helpful, and let's hop right into the tips. So my first tip is to watch my video that I have on the channel, which is all about how you can get free furniture. I did not pay for very many of my first flips. I just started to accumulate a lot of free furniture, and free and or under $30. $30 was the limit that I set. I didn't mind losing $30 if I decided I didn't like flipping. So I kind of set a bare minimum price for myself, and then I went on Facebook on OfferUp, and I just found I literally sat and waited until I was able to get pieces in that price range. So yeah, that would be my first tip. Watch my video. I will link it above and below in this video, but it will tell you all about how to score free furniture to flip. That way, if you get in it and you don't like it, you've not wasted any more money on buying furniture that you now have to get rid of. The second thing that I think that you need to do is to get you a sander. I would suggest a random orbital sander. There are bigger YouTubers on here who flip furniture who have the really nice sander. You don't need that. I mean, it's a good thing to have, it makes things easier, but for a basic starting out, you don't need to invest in a nice high quality sander. You can get you a random orbital sander. I have this one. It cost me about $35 at Harbor Freight, and they also sell sandpaper there, and the sandpaper is about $4, and you can get, I would just start out probably with a 40 grit, a 120 grit, and a 220 grit. I know sandpaper is kind of hard to explain if you're not familiar with it. Hard to understand, I mean. So basically, the 40 grit, when you're dealing with sandpaper, the lower the number, the tougher the sandpaper is. So 40 grit, I would use on something that has already been painted or that has a lot of surface damage to it. And that will kind of take everything away and get you down to the bare nubs. Also, I have a video on here about how to tell real wood from particle board, from the different kind of materials that furniture are made out of. I will also link that video because you don't want to be taking a really rough sandpaper to veneers or to particle board. It's not going to work out well for you. So hopefully you can use the tips in that video to determine if your item is real wood. I would not start out with projects that are made out of a bunch of materials. I would just start out with something that is solid wood furniture. That will make it easier for you to get started. And once you figure out how to work the other different materials, you can kind of venture out, but solid wood is just the best place to start. So again, I'll link that video as well below, how to tell the different materials that furniture is made from. But back to the sandpaper. The 40 grit will take old paint off. if something is really badly damaged, it will help you smooth it out. The 120 grit sandpaper is the next one. If you have something that is not previously painted and it may have, you know, just a little bit of damage, a little bit of dents, a little bit of dings, you'll use your wood filler and fill those in, and then you can go over that with the 120 grit sandpaper. Then the 220 grit sandpaper is just a final smoothing step before you paint. So the 40 grit, it will leave kind of a little bit rough, and you know, then you'll do your prep work with the 120 grit, and then 220 will just smooth everything out and give you a beautiful canvas to paint over. So after you're sanding, your next step will be to prime. Most of us nowadays are using the Ben Shellac primer, and it's because it addresses so many issues. It's not the cheapest primer on the market, but it's worth its weight, because, you know, don't nobody have time to be reworking. Like, just get this, and it might be a little bit of a splurge, but it's worth it. So get the Ben primer. It blocks tannins, so sometimes when you paint, particularly if you're painting with light colors, you can see the wood, the stain of the original wood finish coming through. And the Ben primer, that's called tannin. The Ben primer will block the tannins in the wood that give it like a red or orange color. Those pigments are very strong, so the Ben primer will definitely block those out. If you're getting something that's been previously loved or not loved, as some of mine have been, the Ben primer also helps to block smells, so it will seal out odors, which is very important if you're going to be selling something. You don't want to pass off something stinky to a customer. So it kind of just does many different things, and it gives you a nice canvas to work off of. Also, when you're using the Ben primer, particularly if you roll it on with a roller, the roller will leave behind a little bit of texture on the Ben primer. So you'll also use the 220 grit sandpaper to gently go over your piece after you've primed. So the sandpaper is very important. You're gonna use it for multiple different steps in your flip. Next, brush kit. I started out using Dollar Tree brush kits, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if I were you, I would start out the same way. Get you a couple of the kits from the Dollar Tree. They have a roller, a paint tray, a paintbrush, and some plastic gloves. You'll probably need 2 of those, because you won't be able to reuse it after you use the Ben primer. Actually, you'll probably need 3. 1 for the paint, 1 for the primer, 1 for the top coat. So get you 3 of those. That'll be $3 at Dollar Tree. And you can use that to apply everything that we're going to talk about. So that's the brush kit. Wood filler. If your piece has a lot of damage, which if you get it for free or at a really low price point, it probably will, you'll need wood filler. So I just use the DAP wood filler from Walmart. I think it's about $5, $6, $7, something like that. Not expensive at all, and really easy to work with for beginners. Goes on pink. It dries in a natural wood tone, so you'll know when it's completely dry. You'll also use your sandpaper to sand over that once it's dry and get it smooth. So the wood filler, it will really come in handy to fix anything that is an imperfection on your surface. Next, something to elevate your piece. So when you're working on your piece, if you try to paint on a tarp, it will stick to the tarp, and then when you pull it up, you'll have little paint, I don't know what you want to call it, like paint chips on the bottom of your feet, on the bottom surface of your piece. So you don't want that. So the way to avoid that is just to get something. You can use packaging materials, you can use boxes, whatever is strong enough to hold your piece up. Some people have those painters, the little painter arrows. I've never bought that. I just use what I have. When I order packages from Amazon, I will keep the packaging material, and I just use anything. Styrofoam, cinder blocks, bricks, whatever you have. You don't have to invest in anything right away, but you don't want to paint on top of plastic because it's going to create like a little pool, and when that dries, you're going to have paint flecks on the bottom of your piece. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. I'm a little bit older. not that old, but you know, a little bit. I don't want to be bending down to paint. I like to have my stuff kind of elevated and be able to paint it. What I started out with was buckets from Dollar Tree. I bought 4 buckets, $4 of course, and I would put, you know, one corner of each of my piece on the buckets, and that elevates it enough. It's also good to elevate your project when you paint, because sometimes you can see things, different areas of the piece. If you're looking down at a piece, you can see it differently if you have it elevated and at eye level with you. It's easy to miss areas, especially if you're dealing with pieces that have drawers and such. So just elevate the piece, and it'll help you prevent back spraying, and it'll also help you be able to see the piece in its entirety if you have it up off the ground, and it will also prevent pools on the bottom of your furniture feet. So the next thing is your top coat. I like to use polyacrylic. I think for a beginner, the polyacrylic is your cheapest option, but I think a more user-friendly option is a furniture wax. So many different paint brands have furniture waxes. I probably, if I had known about furniture wax, I would have started off with that, because it's just wipe on and buff off and call it a day. It will protect your furniture. It does not last forever like top coats, but as long as you tell your customer that, you know, they can wax it in the future to take care of it, or you can even sell your piece with a little bit of wax. I always sell my pieces with a little bit of touch-up paint, and my customers really like that. So you know, I think the wax is just a better option. Top coats can be really fickle, and they can bubble and streak, and top coating still gives me problems to this day. That's why I don't really show it much on my channel. I never really quite know how it's going to turn out. Though lately I have gotten a paint sprayer, which you don't need, but you know, I've been doing this for a while now, so I have invested in a paint sprayer, and now my top coating game is A1. But starting out, when you don't have a paint sprayer, I would just probably use furniture wax. It might be a little bit more expensive than top coat, but again, if you put a top coat on and it streaks or bubbles, you are going to have to sand that down, probably mess up your paint job, and go again at painting, then go again at top coating. And the wax is just easier. You rub it on, rub excess off, and move on about your business. So I would invest in waxing, in furniture wax for my initial product, for your initial products until you get comfortable, or until you can get a paint sprayer, because any furniture flipper knows that top coats can give you the blues. There's nothing like finishing a piece, getting the paint job really beautiful and smooth, and then top coating it and it bubbles off or streaks, and it's just wasting your time. So I'd rather waste a little bit of money than time, but it's up to you. But the top coat that I do use is the polyacrylic. So use it at your own risk. Oh, I skipped over paint. Sorry, y'all, this isn't in any kind of order. Hopefully you can write it down. I have some notes here, which is what you see me looking down at, but it's not in order, y'all, because I'm really busy right now. So I'm just trying to help you guys out. Paint. I started out using Waverly paint. I like it because it's really thick and forgiving. Also because there's a wide range of colors. Though when you're starting out, I would not start with bold colors, because I think that neutrals sell faster. So if you just have to get a color fix, I found that pinks sell really well. But otherwise, just go with the grays, the taupes, the earth tone kind of colors, because those are going to sell the fastest. You'll have, if you paint a piece bright red, a lot of people don't have any red in their homes. But if you paint a piece white or cream or beige or gray, you know, many people are using those colors, and that will get it out of your door faster, which is the goal when we're doing this. So I start out with Waverly paint. There are a lot of paint companies out here. You'll see your bigger YouTubers using, what is that paint? Dixie Belle and all of those things. For one, who wants to pay for shipping and wait to have something shipped to you? Like, no. You can go to Walmart, get some Waverly paint. This smaller container is $7, and the larger one I think is like $12. And I wouldn't buy the smaller one starting out. I just go ahead for the $12 one, but it's worth it. It's a really good paint. And since you're going to be using a roller, if you follow my tips, it's much more forgiving because it's so thick. So yeah, I mean, I've started using the different kind of paints. The Fusion, I like. I really love Wise Owl paint. If you want to invest or splurge on a paint, I like Wise Owl 1 hour enamel because, for one, you don't have to top coat it. It has a built-in top coat. And for two, it's a really beautiful paint and it dries in 1 hour. So if you can afford to splurge, I know different, people in different situations will watch this video. If you can afford to splurge, then I'd go with Wise Owl paint. That will also, the paint, I don't remember how much a container of Wise Owl is. I want to say it's about 30 bucks. But if you counter in the fact that you have your paint and your top coat in one, I think it's comparable in price to buying two separate products. So yeah, let me try to go over this really quickly in case you're writing it down or in case you're taking notes, because I did it out of order, but I want it to be helpful. So the sander and the sandpaper, 40 grit, 120 grit, and 220 grit sandpaper. The Ben primer, I wouldn't suggest any other primer, although there are some nice ones. I can stand behind the Ben primer. A couple of brush kits from Dollar Tree. Something to elevate your piece. Waverly paint or Wise Owl, those are my two paints of choice. The Fusion paint is nice. That's what I'm using as of late. But Wise Owl, I really just like the Wise Owl paint better, to be honest. Wood filler for any imperfections in your piece. And a top coat or wax, whichever one you want to try. Also, a couple of important tips are look at inspo pics. Not to steal ideas. I never make my pieces look exactly like someone else's, but it can be a really helpful thing to look at inspo pics, watch YouTube videos of other people who are flipping furniture, and see what they're doing. You don't want to be, the reason why they're doing it, particularly the people who are being successful at it, the reason why they do things in the way that they do it is because they found that it works. And these are people who are doing this full time. So I would take my cues from them instead of just trying to be an original. What works works. So there are a ton of YouTubers on here. I have a full-time job in addition to doing furniture flipping, but furniture flipping is as lucrative as my full-time job. There are people whose niche is to do like bright, bold colors, like Chris Donna here on YouTube. She does beautiful blending and, but that's not a good starting point. You don't want to try to make it more complicated. Don't try to reinvent the wheel here. Kind of just go with what is working for people. And right now it's neutral colors. And, oh, I forgot one thing that you might need. Some people like to spray paint their hardware. And so you may also need to pick up some spray paint. If you get a piece and the hardware is not in decent condition and you want to kind of spruce it up, or if it doesn't match the color that you want to paint, you can definitely always spray paint hardware. You could also use gold gilding. So there are a bunch of products out there that can help you spruce up hardware. If you need to buy new hardware, I started out shopping IKEA. They have really nice hardware, and it's for the most part it's affordable. So that's a good place to get hardware, IKEA. That's where I got, if I wasn't using the hardware that was originally on the pieces that I was getting it from IKEA in my earlier videos. Now I have kind of a stockpile of antique and new handles and pulls, but that will come with time. So IKEA is a great starting place for affordable hardware, or you can spruce up the ones that come on your piece. Lots of times they won't all be there when you get a piece that's old or at the price point that I shop. Like I said, I usually don't spend more than $30, and I had to really love it for $30. So I try to stick around 20, but sometimes there'll be missing hardware. So check IKEA. They have really nice, cute hardware. And you can pick them up there in person. Me, I try to avoid, you can always find stuff on Amazon too, but I always try to avoid shipping because I'm trying to get my projects out within 2 to 3 days, and I don't want to be waiting on a package to come. So like last week, there's a random snowstorm in the Midwest, and that was holding up people's stuff. I don't have time for that. Like, I need my stuff. I need to be able to go pick it up in person, get it, slap it on my project, and keep it moving. Again, that's my goal, to get what I need and keep it moving. So back to what I was saying before that, y'all, I am scatterbrained. I hope you're keeping up. I hope this makes sense. I'm just trying to be helpful. So yeah, do what people who are more experienced than you are doing because it works. Don't start out with bold colors. Just look for inspo pics. What I used to do when I wanted to find an idea or get inspiration, I would type in a hashtag and then the name of the paint that I'm using on Instagram, and a bunch of pictures will pop up. So that's one way to get some inspo. Watch tutorials for techniques, but don't get hung up on what people are using. Like I said, a lot of people that you're going to be watching, like myself, I don't use a high-end sander. I've just ventured out into high-end paints, but it's really not necessary. So when you watch other people, don't get hung up on exactly what they're using, but look at their technique. So that's why it's helpful to watch other people. There are plenty of people who are using much more high-tech sanders than mine, much more high-tech paint sprayers. I got a paint sprayer last week off of OfferUp or Marketplace, one of the two, for $30, and it's working just fine. So I mean, there are $3,000 paint sprayers that are really nice, but it's just not been worth it so far at this point for me. Like I said, I've been pretty lucrative. My business, flipping furniture, has been pretty lucrative, and you just don't need it. But the other people's videos are helpful for technique purposes. And, you know, to tell you kind of what to do if something goes wrong. And when you finished your piece, posting is important. You'll want to take well-lit pictures, kind of stage your furniture. Staged pieces sell faster than pieces that you just kind of have out there. People want to envision it in their homes. So put a few decor pieces on it. Don't overdo it. Just the most important thing is to make sure your lighting is good. If you watch my videos, you know I have a lot of lighting issues, but I do try, especially when I'm posting pictures. When you're doing a video, it's a little bit more difficult to control lighting, but when I'm posting a picture, I can use apps and lighten it, and you know, I have a little bit more control of editing. So yeah, make sure that your pictures are nice. Take it from different angles. People want to know the dimensions, so make sure that's in your listing. I only list on Marketplace and OfferUp, and I've not had any problems selling pieces using those two mediums. So I would also suggest that when you're starting out, you kind of don't know how to price things. So look at other people look on those same sites, OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace, for people in your area who are also flipping furniture, and kind of, I started out by just judging my price point off of what they were charging. And yeah, so that's pretty much all the tips. I hope this video has been helpful. I'm very scatterbrained right now because of this business is picking up, and I am doing a lot of things right now, but I did want to pop on here and try to help out if I can. I encourage anybody to start flipping. We're talking hundreds of dollars in just a matter of a few days. And like I said, you're making, say, $100 investment, but your first piece should pay you back, and after that is straight profit. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can leave them down below. I always reply to comments. I really appreciate those of you who take the time to watch my videos and comment and show me love. I've not gotten any negative feedback on any of my videos so far, so I just want to thank you guys for being positive and encouraging me to continue doing these videos. You can kind of tell from this one how scatterbrained I am, but I am gonna come to you next week. I think I'll have another furniture flip ready. So Stick with me. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys. If you have the time, please select another one of my videos to watch from the choices on the screen and in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching.